Hello guys, I just want to talk about the new game Temtem, the new MMO Pocket Monster game. Uh, there's a lot to talk about here. So there's been a lot of mixed controversy about this game, some good, some bad. It even goes so far as there's even people that are willing to go so far to write not only one, not two, but 3 videos about how Temtem sucks. What I'm here to talk about is that Temtem doesn't suck. It's new, innovative, and it's something that's different. Different in the Pocket Monster universe as Pokemon dominates it, and something new in the MMO universe that we don't really see very often. A child-friendly, yet kind of giving you that nostalgia feeling of first entering the world of a Pocket Monster themed adventure, and a lot more content. So let's go first into the controversy of why people hate Temtem so much. Well, it's a Pokemon clone. Oh, it's $35. It's early access. These are usually the 3 things that people who I like to call Pokemon haters are just attacking Temtem. And I agree with their standpoints. Early access sucks. I remember when I was a kid that I could usually go to GameStop, pick up a game, and I got the game. Now, unfortunately, this is 2020. We don't have that privilege anymore. We now have to pre-order, get half the content, or pay to win our way to victory, or we have to shell out some money so the developer can afford to continue the game. Which is also a good thing. There are so many games that I don't think would be out if it wasn't for early access, regardless of their success or fail. It's also backed by Humble Bundle. If you don't know what Humble Bundle is, well, guess what? You're missing out. Humble Bundle is a great co-sponsorship for this game. There is literally no other partner that I think would be great enough to introduce the first indie MMO Pocket Monster game. It's a handful to say, and it's exciting. There's a whole new world out there in the MMO genre now. Yes, there is glitches. Yes, day 1 was kind of iffy, but whatever MMO is iffy on day 1. Look at WoW Classic, for example. There's been queues that I've seen people that were dying to get in that waited in 3-day-long queues. Now, maybe that's a little exaggerated, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that's how long some people actually waited to get in. Now, let's get into some other topics of WoW people hate this game. $35. Let's start there. So people are saying that $35 is outrageous for this game. That it should have been free, or it should have been subscription based. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter. It's $35. All of you Pokemon fans, how many Pokemon games have you bought in your lifetime? I bet a lot. Tremendous, in fact. What is there? Like, there's over at least 10 Pokemon games. They're all $35 when they first came out. Oh wait, Temtem's $35. Whoa, and it's also an MMO. Whoa, and I don't have to start over every single time. There's probably going to be an expansion out, new content, or anything like that. Wow. And that's what I don't like. I don't like that Pokemon fans are hating on a game that's basically an adaptation of Pokemon. This game wouldn't exist if Pokemon didn't exist. And I think the developers know that. And there is a lot of Pokemon love to this game. It's not taking out anything. It's not saying that it's its own thing, basically what I'm trying to say. It's ridiculous how people feel the need, and I will put on the screen these videos. This one individual, whose name won't be said, but you'll see his thumbnails, posted 3 videos about why he hates Temtem. If you hate Temtem so much, friend, just don't make a video on it. Your main content is competitive Pokemon, not competitive complaining. It's... And I see a lot of other negative reviews about this game. A lot. And I do see some positives. And we're going to talk about the positives. In my opinion, there's more positives that outweigh the negatives. But you got to talk about the negatives first before you can talk about the positives. So, I haven't had this experience. But there has been a lot of glitches. A lot. I've heard of people de-leveling. I've heard people even go as far as their Pokemon... I'm sorry, not Pokemon, Temtem. You see, even for me, it's hard to not say Pokemon in this case. But it's hard. The progression is just so hard to, like, understand and grasp for some people, because some of their Temtems are de-evolving. It's a glitch in the game that needs to be solved. That shouldn't be a thing on day 1. It should have been tested 1,001 times before our product comes out. I've never seen a game in an MMO genre that's had so many bugs. Now, for me being me, I just want to say I've never experienced any of these. What I have experienced is a lot of black screens, a lot of DCs, and a lot of interesting problems that I wouldn't expect would come from an MMO. Now, I guess you could start by talking about the story and progression right after this, because I don't want to draw too much attention on the glitches as a con, because you boot up the game and it says early access. Okay, early access, 2020. You can't really fight it. It's a thing. Glitches are gonna be there. It's gonna be weird. Servers are gonna be laggy. It's fine. But one of the major cons I have with this game is the story. There is no story that is meaningful in this game. Honestly, no story. There's no need for a story. The story, I feel like it's meant for a 5-year-old, where at least Pokemon, it kind of falls into like this weird space of like, yes, it's meant for children, but you could be 20 years old and you could still feel the nostalgia of you reading it as a kid. Where Temtem lacks and fails in this category, which is kind of sad. I was really hoping for a story that would get me engaged and learn all about the new creative world of Temtem. Sadly, this does not happen, and nothing more can be said other than future updates, better story? Question mark? But other than that, there really isn't that much. Glitches and story is your 2 biggest fails. Now, other people are complaining that the Temtem look too basic. There's even like, kind of like almost copycats, like Farfetch. There is a Farfetch, who's kind of looks in a blend between Farfetch and Sir Farfetch. So, you kind of win some, you lose some. Now, there's a lot of like features in this game that I love. For example, there are I don't even know how to like speak because there's so many good things about this game when it comes to competitive. Now, when I say competitive, I'm going to assume you already know what competitive Pokemon is. And I'm assuming that you might know how hard it can be even getting into competitive Pokemon, because it's so time consuming. Where Temtem basically snaps your fingers, you're right in, enjoy the game. The only thing you really have to do to get into the competitive is beat the story mode and understand the basics. of what you're doing. There's still IVs, SVs, and all that jazz, still movesets, but guess what? No moves are ever forgotten, which is a blessing. Basically, what you have is a moveset. You could have 4 moves just like Pokemon, but every single move that you've learned in the past stays with you, and you could swap them out on the fly as long as you're not battling something. Which is really cool and neat. Now, as for getting deeper into competitive, which right now at day 3 or 4 is all about breeding. Now, breeding is really, really complicated in Pokemon, at least to me. Some other people make it look like a snap, like they've been doing it for years. And guess what? They probably have been doing it for years. But Temtem makes it really simple, but yet they put their own twist on it. Instead of having a Pokemon or a Temtem that can keep breeding and breeding and breeding, they don't do that. It has 7 breeding cycles. And what I mean that is after the Temtem breeds 7 times, it cannot breed any longer. But there's also items that they introduce in the game that are 10 times better than the updated Sword and Shield meta items that help you get into the meta quicker that I've ever seen before. There are items that can literally guarantee your stats. But that's not all. They can guarantee 2 perfect stats, which in Pokemon terms is crazy progression. So it took me about 3 months as a casual player to get a competitive Pokemon team. By the time I got ready for the competitive Pokemon, it was already too late, and I was already out of the meta, unfortunately, because of the whole new system with Galarian Pokemon and Gigantamaxing and blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. I was too out of the loop, which is unfortunate, because I would love to get into competitive Pokemon more than anything, because I love the IP. Just how many players in Temtem love Pokemon. I don't think there is one person who is playing Temtem that doesn't enjoy Pokemon. That doesn't mean they might not like the anime. It doesn't mean that they like anything Pokemon related. It just means they like the idea of Pokemon and pocket monsters in general. It's a great idea. In fact, there has been no competition. Not that this is competition at all. I think Nintendo and the Pokemon Company encourages it. There has been nothing at all competing against it. And to prove that Nintendo's not competing against it, eventually, and I don't know when, it's coming to Xbox, PS4, or PS5, and the Switch. Yes, I said that right. The Nintendo Switch. There is no way Nintendo, of all people, is considered this competition. And if they do, they're considering it friendly competition. And sometimes, just how, like, graphics cards and processors need that competition to increase stat numbers and boosts and benchmarks, or companies need that extra boost from competition, this is going to increase that competition, regardless of how it's going to affect the Pokemon. Pokemon can stomp this out of the ballpark if they wanted to. They can make something great that it doesn't matter what Temtem is, it will fail. But I don't think the Pokemon Company wants that. I think they want diversity from other developers taking in the Pocket Monster experience. Now, this has kind of gone on a dev tangent. Let's get back to the main game mechanics and why I think Temtem is a really great game. Well, there is a lot of kind of like open worldness about it that Pokemon really lacks. And it's kind of sad that it really does lack this, because they really explored it during Sword and Shield. And that was, drumroll please, The open wild zone. Instead of having a wild zone, you have the game. You can see other players, and pretty soon, you can battle them casually, see their profiles. You could trade with them now on your friends list, and you could battle them on your friends list, but I'm pretty sure it will become more easier and accessible. You can do so many great things in this game, comparison to the Pokemon open world. And people were telling me, this game, trash. Like, it can't even boot on the first day. Well, do I have to remind you about Sword and Shield's first day? It was laggy as fuck, and no one played it online. Nintendo has a track record of supporting online games shitty. Guess what? So does every MMO. You're comparing an MMO to a competitive turn-based game. Not that this isn't a competitive turn-based game, but it changes a lot. There's an open market that's coming out. There's interactions with economy and other players. There is a little more easiness in this game comparison to others. Shinies in this game, which are actually called Luma, they actually can be used to a competitive advantage because they're automatically gained 3 perfect stats. That's really intriguing to me. Not only are you grinding for that alternate color that everyone loves in Pokemon, but now you have an even more reason because you're doing 2 things at once. You are grinding for that perfect competitive Temtem, and you're grinding for that sweet, 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 sparkly goodness, and having that really cool altered color of your favorite Temtem. Now, as of right now, there is not a lot that I really know about besides the first 2 islands. The gameplay that you see is strictly, and when I mean strictly, I mean strictly, the first 2 islands. Specifically, the first island on Island 2, the first place on Island 2, and the last place on Island 1. These 2 islands, they're probably the best in the game, in my opinion. You get the breeding in Island 2, and you get the grinding spots in Island 1 that I love personally. You also get to see the first example of Temtem's version of a gym, also known as a dojo. Dojos in other games, usually it involves like a badge system. This is kind of interesting. Kind of goes to the basics of original Pokemon, where you would get an item, I don't know, like Surf, Rock Climb, Rock Smash, etc., etc. Well, instead of that, you literally get a surfboard. Which is exactly like Surf, but it's more exciting to me because my character that I've created literally can surf now. It's open world, so I can see other players surfing with me. Yeah, there's not a lot of interaction, as I said before, but there is a lot of stuff that I can go into while playing this game. This game is $35. And if you're not an early access person, I will definitely tell you to wait and hold on for someone else's review to tell you just how great Temtem is. There's not a lot that I can vouch for Temtem saying that it's going to be the best game ever, because that does not really exist ever. Temtem is just another MMO that has a unique touch to it. If any of the developers are watching this, the biggest criticism I can give you is don't lack on content. That's my biggest fear for this game, and it's my 100% why I quit Pokemon Sword and Shield. I hope you really enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe if you do. Leave a comment below telling me if you agree or disagree with my statements. And I really hope you enjoy my videos. So I give it a big thumbs up for this one, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.